इंटेलिजेंस इज बेसिकली लाइक अ लैंडस्केप जहाँ पे आपके पास एक बड़ा फील्ड है, कुछ नदियाँ हैं, कुछ पहाड़ हैं. इट्स बेसिकली लाइक एन इंटेलिजेंस. जो AI है दैट्स लाइक वाटर. सो अब जैसे 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 करके मतलब वाटर का लेवल राइज हो रहा है, वो लैंडस्केप में कुछ कुछ एरियाज कवर करता जा रहा है.
तुम्हें लगता है गूगल अमेजोन इस स्पेस में अंदर आने के बाद it will eat up most of the market share, or you think players like you and many others will still remain very competitive?
That's a deep question.
Yeah, isn't it so exciting?
Right.
That we have actually been put in a game.
Right.
Where there are no rules, practically.
Practically.
Right.
Life is like GTA.
Yeah.
Are you really liking what you do? Because at a deeply personal level, it's, only if you are yourself, then as an employee, as a team member, as a founder, as an entrepreneur, you will be the most effective if you are the max version of yourself.
Yeah.
One of our work recently went live on Netflix, and
what was it?
so this was about a movie called Kandahar Hijack, where basically they wanted to use a small sample of a posthumous political leader, a Pakistani political leader, and since he's no more, they wanted his version of the voice created in AI. India has about 22 scheduled languages. That ways you can't just be serving the English-speaking user base. So that ways, that's what I thought, that if democratization of education has to happen, then how does it happen in all the languages? That's what we started with, that hey, let's just pick up education, create a technology, create a product, and it's super easy. Any piece of video content can be converted from language A to language B, C, D. And then soon enough we realized that it's not an education problem, it's a much broader problem. It's any content problem.
Yes. हेलो, कैसे हैं आप लोग? एंड आर यू नाउ रेडी फॉर अनदर एपिसोड ऑफ बढ़ता इंडिया देखो? इससे पहले कि मैं शुरू करूं, आप लोगों ने अभी तक सब्सक्राइब किया है? Have you gone down and pressed that red button which says that all other new episodes that come in the future you already have a notification for? And on that note, we have something that the whole world is talking about right now. Today's topic is AI. And not only just AI, it's about speech AI with a very, very interesting founder called Varshul CW from Dubverse. And Dubverse is a very well-known AI brand these days which is making ripples in the startup industry by turning everything in the dubbing industry to speech AI. I am very excited to look forward to what new technologies are coming in and therefore learn more about this industry overall. So if you also have interest in this, come, let's watch. Okay, thank you Varshul for coming to Badhta India Dekho. How does it feel to be on our set?
It's good, man. It's good. I think it's the setup looks very cool. Looks very startup-y. We work in a co-working, so it's not like our setup. But this definitely feels one of that. Yeah.
And what's your reason for saying yes to a podcast like this? Personally, professionally, is there something?
Yeah, I think it's. When I saw some of these episodes, I could definitely sense that it covers a wide variety, and it's more about a personal journey. Because as a company, we keep talking about that, right? Dubverse this, Dubverse that. But I think it'd be good to sort of just sit through, with a fellow founder and walk through in terms of what my journey has been and learn as well. Yeah.
Yeah. No, fantastic. Speaking on who you are, if you can just tell us a little about your growing up and family values in the beginning, school, college. How was the journey?
I'm from a pretty middle class background, so to say. My father essentially he's employed for most of his life, and my mom actually used to be like a play school principal.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's where a lot of discipline.
So was it strict at home also?
No, they were not. I think even earlier they used to be when I was growing up, but then now when it's more of friendship rather than like a parent-child relation, obviously. So it's a lot of that. But yeah, it's been mostly on the Delhi, Noida side of it. And funny enough, I say 30 years of my life, I've been in a 30-kilometer radius. So
always been here.
Always been here, right. Worked there, did schooling, did college, and all of that was over here. Yeah.
Understood. And how would you rate yourself as a child? If a 30-year-old has to look at a 7-year-old Varshul, what are the few words that will come to their mind?
So one thing is that I was very curious. Just as I'll tell you a story wherein whatever house that I used to visit, I used to find all of these new and little things, and every house is unique.
In the house that you would
in the
visit.
house. So what I'll do is I'll just go to their shelf, pick up their stuff, and start to play around with that. And then I used to just ask a lot of questions, to them about generally about whatever I could perceive of the world then. I remember one of my aunts actually labeled me as a question mark, that he's always asking questions. What's with this kid, So it was a lot about, I think curiosity was one of those values. I think, when I was kind of growing up towards more, 12 to 15 years of my life, I was very talkative. And I'm assuming that is after effect of being curious, because, you end up chatting more, you end up sharing more, you end up learning across the world more. So it was a lot about that as well. Yeah.
Do you think curiosity has played a big role in your entrepreneurship life also?
Yeah. I think the world is an infinite place, right? Not just in terms of the physical sense, but even the
so true,
right? Even the human knowledge that someone can learn and can build on top of it, right?
Yeah.
So how do you effectively get to know the world, and how do you end up with your own worldview is something that only gets solved with this curiosity. There is you always remain unsatiated, in the sense, you always keep scratching some or the other itch here and there. Now you want to learn neuroscience, now you want to learn sales. True. Now you want to learn how to just be mentally well. There are these so many broad topics that I think anybody has to learn at every point in time. And I think, I'm just naturally I feel that, I don't feel I need to do it, but naturally I just feel, excited about a lot of topics, which is why I remember when, my weekdays used to be very different than weekends, because weekdays I was picking up some certain activities, weekends I was onto something else entirely. I think that gives you a broad range of spectrum that you can explore around, and you can be a lot more version of yourself than what a Varshul is, which was defined which was born in time A, lived in place B, hung out with friend C, right? Varshul can be a lot broader than that. Yeah.
Very, very true and interesting perspective, and very important as a skill also to be embedded in our kids. I run a company called Cracked, and there I work with college students, and the thing that I find missing the most in them is the hunger to explore. Forget the ability to explore.
Right.
But the hunger is also not there.
Right.
It's it's defined. Maybe at max they're looking for a job or chasing a girl or a boy. That's it. And what else? Do you think that's it that you have in life, or do you want to be more?
Right.
And there I think something like this is very important.
Right.
Not all of us need to be intelligent, but all of us need to at least be hungry for something.
Right. And I think the way that we define, these concepts around intelligence or being smart, I think a lot of that comes from the after effects of being curious, or being just self-improvement over oneself. I think that leads to someone being called as being intelligent.
So true.
Yeah.
True. And because our 15-year-old intelligent is definitely a 30-year-old dumb person, right?
Right.
And so if you have not evolved,
right,
then anyway you're going to be less intelligent over a period of time.
Right.
And
and I think the way that people look at this, people I think people look at it a lot of in terms of it's a race, right? जैसे 3 Idiots में जैसे बोलते हैं ना,
there is no race.
There's no race. There's no race. It's just It's your own life.
Yeah.
It's your own experiences. I mean, as Naval says, right? It's a single player. You're a single player. It's a single player game.
Yeah.
So in that ways, a lot of this is just your own honing and crafting of this individual, maximization of experiences, breadth of those experiences. I think
and infinite possibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't it so exciting?
Right.
That we have actually been put in a game
Right.
where there are no rules practically. Right.
Life is like GTA.
Yeah. Even a much better version.
Yeah.
Of a GTA.
Right.
And there we are saying that okay, my grandfather has made a rule that I will follow.
Right.
So sad.
Right.
if you look at it that way.
Right. I mean, I think earlier when there were definitely the society had to be restrictive. I mean, our grandparents couldn't think of, parents or grandparents couldn't think of working on anything beyond a government job.
Agreed.
Because that was like the need of the hour that provided security. You had a family to run, right? But if we, being from a relatively financial background, if we end up defining our life in a very risk aversion way,
constrained manner,
a constrained manner, then I don't think there is a lot of like the society is moving forward at large. And I can't change society. I'm not talking about that.
You can only change yourself.
This is about self.
Yeah.
This is about self.
And therefore impact as per what you should be.
Right. Yeah.
No, true. Varshul, help me understand in all this, how did this unique, at least from the time you started it, different idea of starting something into AI, spark in you? What's the story there?
This categorically is like a COVID startup. Right, this started during COVID times.
Many startups.
Many startups, many VCs as well. So this basically was a result of me sitting in a place and finding a lot of time so I can focus on work on one dedicated problem. And I think when we started Dubverse, the idea was that look, 75% of the world is practically doesn't speak English. Forget about that. I mean, even I belong from a very north belt of India, which goes to an English medium school, but then comes home and starts speaking Hindi, right? So your day is multilingual if you look at it like that, right?
Great way to put it.
Yeah, right. And that way is when we saw internet, it was like, wow, such amazing thing, right? You can search everything, watch any video. And when I see a lot of Ivy League level content that's available on YouTube, I mean, that was practically the start of EdTech, right? MOOCs, if you remember.
Yes, absolutely.
Massive online.
I've always been
courses.
in education. So,
yeah.
So I exactly know what you're saying.
So, I mean, these Ivy League level content, when they started to just publish content on YouTube.
Awesome.
Ranging from molecular biology to neurosciences to computer sciences. And that's where I realized that, look, I mean, people, this is available for free. Like legit free. I mean, all you need is internet, which Jio has been lucky enough to provide us as Indians, right? So that ways you can just learn anything, consume anything. But the limitation is that's only available to the world that speaks English. What about the larger world that doesn't speak English? In fact, not just like the Ivy League in US, but even some of the IITs have been putting courses as part of NPTEL. It's a Ministry of Education program, and it's a lot of content, right? But then that's also in English, and that's kind of ironic. If you're
it's an Indian.
India has about 22 scheduled languages. So that ways you can't just be serving the English speaking user base. So that ways that's what I thought, that if democratization of education has to happen, then how does it happen in all the languages? That's what we started with, that hey, let's just pick up education, create a technology, create a product, wherein it's super easy. Any piece of video content can be converted from language A to language B, C, D. And then soon enough we realized that it's not an education problem. It's a much broader problem. It's any content problem.
Yes.
That's where we sort of democratize the product.
But did this technology exist?
Yes. I mean, see, the technology kind of always exists, but how is it that you sort of improvise A and B, package it in a way that it's super easy for a creator to use, right?
Correct.
I mean, and this is valid for the most of the tech that's existing out there. Look at mobile phones or look at cameras, right? Cameras existed since the time of 1900s, but then now it's at a consumer level. The quality is so enhanced, the availability, the accessibility, the cost of production of these cameras, the abstraction of hardware layer and the software layer in the cameras have been so much solved that it's in your pocket, right? That's how we look at dubbing as well, wherein it exists for the larger movie production and the high quality production, kind of industry. But then how do we democratize it to a level wherein it's available to any form of content creator, right? That's been our journey.
Varshul, help the audience understand what is Dubverse, because a lot of questions after this will have reference to context.
Right.
So if you can just explain what is Dubverse, what work do you do?
Right. So Dubverse is a generative AI startup into speech, where we have products and technology around text to speech, speech translation, speech to text, where we are working with some of the largest video production houses. In fact, one of our work recently went live on Netflix. And
what was it?
So this was about a movie called Kandahar Hijack, where basically they wanted to use a small sample of a posthumous political leader, a Pakistani political leader, and since he's no more, they wanted his version of the voice created in AI. That's where they used a technology like ours, and then they created something like that, right? We work with some of these production houses. We work with a lot of news media houses, content creators, and L&D houses. It's a global product that we've scaled to about 2 million users at this point in time. And now we are developing some of our own foundational models in speech. So yeah, that's what Dubverse is.
How did the initial MVP happen? I mean, that would be an interesting story for all of us.
Right. So I think this happened, I mean, that the idea always existed. The technology was kind of there. And then the MVP happened over a 1 week's time on a winter, where basically it was like boot camp, and like a solo boot camp, where essentially what I had is a good COVID time, my parents to just take care of me, and a house with a room full of walls that I can write on.
Wow.
So what I ended up within that 1 week's time was like a simple MVP where anybody can just put in their video, get an output, edit it on Google Sheets, right? Because I mean, that's the definition of an MVP, wherein you don't need a fully functional product. You just need something to go from point A to point B.
Right.
And by the end of that week, I remember when my mom walked into the room, she saw all the walls and all the doors just covered in writing of my notes, my to-dos, my priority list and everything. And for that matter, I didn't let them wipe it off for the next 2 years, just as a signal, as a reminder of my journey when I started.
Do you have pictures of those walls?
Yeah, I think I would.
Would love to see some of them.
Right,
and maybe for the audience also.
For the audience also, yeah.
How it got fantastic.
Yeah.
How do you plan to scale this? I mean, or if you have scaled to a certain level,
right?
Because AI's speech is something obviously new to the world, although the experts are using it.
Right.
But do you think it will ever become a mass product, or will it always be a B2B kind of a product?
Right. No, I mean, I think there'll be different sets of offerings, the way that I look at it, because a product at the end of the day is serving the needs of the user. So a consumer need will be very different than an enterprise need versus a creator need.
Yeah.
So the way that we look at AI at this point in time is AI at this point in time, the way that it's been promised, it's promised as magical, right? But then when you actually start to use it, for that matter, if you just open your ChatGPT and you want to write an email, it's not like you get the best email on a first cut. And even if you get that, that's not production ready. That's not a lot useful. The way that you would want to interact with an AI at this point in time is still by you prompt it, you iterate over it, you poke it in a certain direction, you set up guardrails, and then maybe it gives you an email of wanting to apply for a job. That's where we look at AI, which is at its kind of at a nascent stage, right? But it's marketed as a magical ball, right? Because look, the people who are marketing it, they are in it for the long term, right?
Yeah, true.
And they want a certain ROI and a certain hype and a certain extractive sort of cycles to be created. I mean, this is basically the capex cycle, so the opex can pay off at when it comes to that. So AI at this point in time is a lot about that, right? Which is where whatever work that we are doing in speech, I think we are at the very, very beginning of a very long journey that will essentially make any form of content like a lot AI driven.
Yes.
Humans essentially will just be using their own uniqueness when they are creating an AI content, their own prompts, their own voices, the way that they speak, right?
Amazing.
I think a lot of that
so
will
much
be
possible.
There'll be so many possibilities. Yeah.
And especially into the area of different forms of dubbing, speech synthesis, as you mentioned,
Right.
we being able to create our own avatars maybe
Yeah.
over a period of time.
Yeah. That'll be great, right? Someone wanting to speak to a AI Debujit, right?
Yes.
Now in AI Debujit will go to the meetings.
Yeah.
You won't have to give a to-do list every day to all of your team.
Yeah, it will just get made.
Yeah, it'll just be there.
Even today, Read AI, I mean, it's part of all our meetings.
Right.
And it's just sending us more to-do lists that we can ever think of drafting.
Right.
Post the meetings.
Right.
So yeah, I recently saw this movie on Netflix.
Uh-huh.
I'm forgetting the name of the movie, but Ananya Pandey was there, and it was based on AI avatars.
Control
Something.
AI.
Yeah. So and at the end of the movie, she loses her boyfriend to a sad murder.
Okay.
And at the end of the movie, they show that she's finally made an AI version of the boyfriend.
Right.
And therefore she doesn't know whether to be happy or sad about it.
Right.
But some level of solace.
Right.
And they leave us there in the movie. And I
Right.
was also left with very mixed feelings.
Right.
Till that point.
Right.
Till the end of the movie I was okay. But at the end I was thinking, oh God, is this going to be the new reality? So do you think these sort of distortions are a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, I think, at the end of the day, it's any piece of technology or a tool is like a knife, right? You want to cut your vegetables with that sharp knife, or you want to kill someone, right? So I think it depends a lot on the intent, and that goes with every technology, from a camera.
In fact, not even technology, with everything.
Everything, right? It's the intent is what matters, right? They essentially, this is definitely going to be the case where if you want an AI version of someone, that definitely is possible. But then you want it to teach it to you, or you want it to sort of just use it for pleasure. That is where a lot of this intent will get defined from. Yeah.
No, very true. Also, there's a lot of emotional tones that are coming into AI generated speeches, right?
True.
And I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. Firstly, I wanted to ask, how are you working towards it? How does this work?
Right.
And secondly, what's your opinion on it being there?
Right. So I think just to tell you about how AI largely learns to speak, is very similar to how a baby would learn to speak, right?
Okay.
It's basically
correct.
How a baby learns to speak is not just one sudden day, it's giving you paragraphs. It basically starts with some unintelligible syllables, ma, ba, right? And then it starts making sense of the repeatable ones, mama, papa, right? Mum, right? And then the words come. Then there are these sentences, and then there is a paragraph, right? So this is very similar to how an AI would learn speech or a voice. Is basically that they
हिंदी
ये वाला हिंदी में बताना
नहीं ठीक है
just continue.
हाँ ठीक है. So this is where this is pretty similar to how an AI learns to speak, wherein it sees a large data of written text and spoken audio, and then it tries to find pattern between the two. And this will be very similar to how you would learn a new language, right? Which is where this a lot of how AI is engineered, without going into the very technical details, is how it's able to learn. So if you want to make it sound very aggressive, very angry, it can do that. If you want to make it sound very calm and composed, it can do that as well. Largely, then it after a certain point, it becomes a function of data.
Imitates a human's a behavior more from a That's a very good corollary to say that learns how a baby learns.
Right.
And if the baby has seen angry parents at home all through.
Yeah. The conditioning of the baby is certain in a certain way. Yeah, that's right.
And very similar.
But just curious, I mean, what do you think? Like, what do babies learn first? Do they learn the language first, or do they learn how to speak first? What is your experience there?
Definitely how to speak first. And then the language comes in. So from whatever little I have done research about child psychology, the learning starts in the womb, and therefore even if the mother has a very active lifestyle, then it's a very different baby as compared to a mother who is always lying down.
Wow, that's nice.
And even the conversations at home, although we have this Mahabharata example from past that
from Karan is what it was.
No, the one where the child had learned about warfare from the womb, how to get out of the Chakravyuh. So Abhimanyu, yes. So, but it's true that the conversations also play a part.
Nice.
So if there are happy conversations, there is certain amount of, it's mainly because the body of the mother is feeling the vibes of the conversation.
Okay.
So if you're just fighting, let's say for 9 months,
right,
the baby will come out agitated because that's the only vibe the baby has felt for 9 months.
Right.
It's even more stronger, right, than being out.
Right.
You're inside that person.
Yeah, it's a proper conditioning.
Yeah. So I think language starts from there. And therefore it's called communication is 55% body language, 38% tonality, and only 7% words.
Okay.
Right?
Nice.
And if 93% is anyway not words, then majority of the damage or good work is done already.
Right.
So that way, I think, and therefore eventually you kind of get to the language. Achha, ye words use karna hai, etc.
That's interesting. I learned something new today.
So interestingly on what you were saying, what would you advise to some future AI entrepreneurs now that you have run it for some time? And a lot of people are getting into this space. I have juniors in the engineering, doing engineering. They want to start something in AI with no knowledge of what they have to get into. So what's your advice for them?
I think, what we are seeing with AI is a lot of capitalistic sense in the way that Sam Altman decided to run a company, decided to do a launch, decided to do like a mega hype. That's why there's an ecosystem, there's liquidity in the market, there are a lot of these startups coming in. Basis which there are a lot of entrepreneurs that now come to you and asking help to run an AI startup, right? So essentially, if you look at the entire journey of how we started this peak curve, and now where we are, then I think a little bit of understanding of how AI works is a must. In the way that I look at it, AI is something that we get to see as an overall thing, right? But there are so many layers to it. There is basically a model layer. There is an orchestration layer, there is a product layer, there is a use case layer, there is a GTM layer, there is a fundraise or a capitalistic layer, right? So which is where you will have to understand as to where is it that you want to contribute the most, or what unique advantage or disadvantage have you got in either of all these layers. Because just having to run an AI startup or an AI company, I don't think that's the reason with which you are getting started to do this, to onset on this long and hard journey, as you know, of running any startup, is the intent has to be very set right very well, right? I mean, for me, it was problem solving. For me, it was not that, I want to do something in AI, or AI is so exciting that I'll make millions of dollars on this. It's not like that, right? I want to start a problem, and that's how I got started in AI.
So for you, it is still that same tool in that visitor's house, which you were asking questions about.
Yeah.
And therefore, that problem that you solved at that time, it's still that, but in a space which makes a lot of sense.
Right. Now it's a lot about, how can you ask, as they say, right? It's the answers are already there. It's just asking about the right question.
Yeah, so true.
I think AI can help you do that.
With the answer, yeah. AI actually makes you just ask questions if you think of it that way.
Right.
And the answers will come.
Right.
You need to know what to ask. What do you think India's role in all this? I mean, as a country, where is India in all this?
I have very strong opinion on that, because the way that I look at where AI contribution, what India's role is in AI contribution is not at a very sort of a fundamental level, because look, I mean, science needs a culture of research, right? And there's Meta's chief scientist Jan LeCun had come to India, and I met him in Delhi, and that's what he's telling at large, because you need a culture for the science and research to exist. When I was doing my research in IIT Delhi, I remember even the sort of environment that was there was not the most optimal to create open AIs of the world, right? And this is not against any particular institute or a government. This is just in general about how we look at science and research in a country like India, which is where you would want to contribute on the application or the use case layer of AI rather than on the foundational layer, right? I mean, when Sam Altman had come to India and said that he challenged all of us to create a LLM coming out of India, and that still kind of exists. I mean, people have tried, there are these LLMs that exist, but then it's not like you're having another OpenAI in India. It's not.
That's an interesting opinion that you have just given, and maybe we will also evolve as a country,
right,
to reach there. AI में एक और चीज़ है जो अभी तक मुझे उतना नहीं दिखा है, although ट्राई करता है. Things like raw emotions, like a humor or a sarcasm, and अगर ट्राई करता भी है तो it just doesn't really click. It sounds like a poor joke, and doesn't really sound like a human-produced deep joke that you can laugh for 5-10 minutes for. Taking another example, do you think it will also develop these complexities really well over time, or it will keep struggling there?
I think one of the things that we say famously, right, and while selling our product to an enterprise, it's like it can definitely do your content, it can definitely not do a joke. Like you cannot translate a joke, right?
Yeah.
Every language is very contextual, it's very nuanced, it's very cultural, right? So that ways, if I tell you हाथी चींटी का joke in English, मतलब वो sense नहीं बनाएगा, right? क्योंकि आपको वो cultural context नहीं है हाथी चींटी को books में देखने का, जब आपने पढ़ते हुए पढ़ा, right? आपने हो सकता है अपनी चींटियाँ देखी ना हो, क्योंकि मतलब नहीं देखी हो, right? So in that ways, it's very difficult to translate a joke. But having said what level AI can do, I think it's basically covering a piece of land, right? I think there is, I'll show you an image, and it's a wonderful image. It basically says that intelligence is basically like a landscape, जहाँ पे आपके पास एक बड़ा field है, कुछ नदियाँ हैं, कुछ पहाड़ हैं. It's basically like an intelligence. जो AI है, that's like water. So, अब जैसे करके मतलब वाटर का लेवल राइज हो रहा है, वो लैंडस्केप में कुछ एरियाज कवर करता जा रहा है. अब जैसे हम चेस की बात करें तो AI इज वेरी गुड एट चेस, राइट? लाइक डीप माइंड वाज वन ऑफ द फर्स्ट कंपनीज हुड सॉल्व फॉर चेस वेरी वेरी वेल. सो नाउ चेस इज समवट ऑफ एट अ लोअर हाइट, राइट, वर्सेस अ जोक विच इज लाइक अ माउंट एवरेस्ट. So for the water level to reach to certain height that it can cover this part of the landscape, it'll take time.
But it will definitely happen.
It will take time, but it will happen, right? Which also means कि ऐसा नहीं है कि लैंडस्केप फिक्स्ड है, लैंडस्केप भी तो बढ़ रहा है,
वो भी तो बढ़ेगा, करेक्ट.
ह्यूमन नॉलेज भी आप देखिए ना, मतलब हमने तो द फर्स्ट रिटन पीस ऑफ ह्यूमन नॉलेज वाज बेसिकली द केव पेंटिंग.
यस.
उससे पहले कितने हजारों साल पहले, मिलियंस ऑफ इयर्स,
क्या
हुआ, कैसे हुआ, हमने क्या नॉलेज क्रिएट करी, क्या डिस्ट्रॉय हुई वॉर से, बैटल से.
अभी भी जब इंडस वैली मिलता है, मोहनजोदड़ो मिलता है, लगता है कि बहुत ज्यादा डेवलप्ड है करंट एज से.
राइट. तो वो तो हमें पता ही नहीं है ना. आई एम सेइंग वो ह्यूमन अपनी नॉलेज कितनी ज्यादा बना रहा है.
True.
That is what makes us human.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't question that. I think we shouldn't.
So you're saying AI will keep following us in a way.
In a way, it'll keep following us. It'll keep evolving as we are.
No, I'm really enjoying the conversation on this theme, and
Right.
very refreshing thoughts on this. ये भी बोला जा रहा है कि creativity in a way AI kill कर दे रहा है या कर देगा, right? Mostly एक डिफॉल्ट ऑप्शन तो मेरे दिमाग में भी आता है यार, एक बार डाल के देख लेते चैट जीपीटी में या कहीं और भी कि शायद एक अच्छा आंसर मिलेगा. नहीं मिला तो फिर भी सोचेंगे, बट शायद मिल ही जाएगा, तो मैं क्यों बैठ के मेहनत करूं. राइट. डू यू थिंक इट्स द एंड ऑफ क्रिएटिविटी और इट्स द स्टार्ट ऑफ अ न्यू रेनेसा, व्हिच मींस दैट अब इसके आगे वाला इज द न्यू गेम?
I mean, I think you very well that you spoke of Renaissance, right? I mean, Renaissance also did not happen because there was just a lot of creativity on the street. That was always there.
Yeah.
Renaissance, I think, for a lot of reasons, without being factually accurate, is a lot about the tools that humanity saw at a certain point in time.
Yeah.
There is, I mean, the reason that I can, as a painter, I can express myself on a canvas is because I have those brushes. Not just one brush, series of brushes, series of colors that I can mix and match into my palette and then create something out of literally nothing, right? So it's, at the end of the day, it's the tool that is helping a human express better. So AI, whatever said and done, ends up becoming a tool basis which a human is able to be more of human. That is in terms of creativity, in terms of expression.
I love the way you put it.
In terms of getting, like, being more smart, getting a better job, running a company, whatever that is, right? So I think it'll be a lot that if you really understand humans. I think on that note, I'll ask you this as to, where are you on the lines of when it said कि AI job खा जाएगा. AI आएगा तो जॉब चली जाएगी. What do you think about that?
I have a very strong opinion that it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And it very clearly shows that it has come to help us ease our jobs.
Right.
And if a human actually wants to do a job that an AI is doing,
right,
then anyway it is not worth doing. So and therefore there has to be some level of upskilling that I think as a civilization we will keep doing, minimum
Right.
evolving,
Right.
which will keep us ahead of AI at all points of time.
Right.
And therefore I was saying that it's very refreshing to hear your thoughts, because it at least resonates with people like us,
Right.
that AI is important so that humans move forward.
Right.
Otherwise, as a race, where are we moving? I mean,
Right.
we should not get stuck also.
Right.
And it's not that there's some specific group of scientists who will make an aeroplane and then we will travel in the aeroplane.
Yeah.
And then wait for those same scientists to make the new discovery and then we will start using that. And thus let it be more common.
Right.
And that's where I think AI will play a big role. जॉब वॉब खाने की तो बात ही नहीं यार. इंडिया में अभी भी मैं ये अपने सेशंस में बताता हूँ, 1 करोड़ ग्रेजुएट्स निकलते हैं हर साल.
बिल्कुल.
ठीक है. और उसमें से 80 लाख अनएम्प्लॉयड होते हैं. 20 लाख जिनको नौकरी मिलती है उसमें से भी आधे अनएम्प्लॉयड होने चाहिए, इतने खराब है. और 80 लाख का तो छोड़ ही दो. तो अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट तो है ही, और कितना बढ़ जाएगा. द नीड इज फॉर क्रिएटिंग एम्प्लॉयमेंट.
राइट.
और वो शायद AI हेल्प करे.
राइट.
उल्टा बोल रहा हूँ.
Right.
बाय क्रिएटिंग वेरियस बिजनेस अपॉर्चुनिटीज, लाइक यू सेड ना कि लाइफ इज एन इनफाइनाइट अपॉर्चुनिटी.
राइट.
तो वहां पे शायद हम 50 और सेक्टर्स डिस्कवर कर ले AI के थ्रू. एग्जिस्टिंग सेक्टर्स में 10 और तरीके के काम निकाल ले.
Right.
जिससे शायद उस 80 लाख को नौकरी मिलना शुरू हो जाए.
Right.
वरना हमने अपना नुकसान काफी हद तक तो कर ही रखा है. So technology is only going to help us
True.
solve existing problems, I feel.
True.
And it would be stupid to अभी हम जब मॉल्स के पार्किंग में घुसते हैं तो एक गार्ड खड़ा होता है प्लास्टिक बोर्ड वाला कि लेफ्ट चले जाओ ना या राइट चले जाओ. वो एआई तो है नहीं, वो तो किसी एक कार्डबोर्ड स्ट्रक्चर है, राइट. अब उसी से अगर एग्जिस्टिंग वॉचमैन्स को डर लग रहा है तो फिर एआई तो तुम्हारी मार ही लेगा, मतलब आज नहीं तो कल. तो डरने का तो कोई सीमा नहीं है,
राइट.
बट आई फील इट्स नॉट वर्थ रिप्लेसिंग अस एनीवे.
Right.
By a long margin. So, I mean, great discussion on Dubverse. A little bit on your personal journey.
Right.
I from whatever I read about you, you use the term "maza aa raha hai" a lot, and at work. And
Right.
what does it personally mean to you when you ask your people, your colleagues?
Yeah,
"Maza aa raha hai?"
yeah. This is one of the things that, like, I mean, I care deeply about, right?
Yeah.
Because it's always easy to get lost, in stuck in some form of a race or following a
So
certain
true. So true.
path which is somewhat defined by you, somewhat defined by someone else, and then you keep following it. Which is why I think it's a lot important to enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
And when I say enjoy, it's not like have fun and frolic and then drink it off and then get wake
That's not enjoyment.
wake up hungover. Yeah, that's not enjoyment. I mean, when I say all of that, it's enjoyment or maza is basically are you in the flow?
Yeah.
Are you in the moment? Are you really liking what you do? Because at a deeply personal level, it's only if you are yourself, then as an employee, as a team member, as a founder, as an entrepreneur, you will be the most effective if you are the max version of yourself.
Yeah.
And how does that happen, right? That happens when you're really, मतलब आपको जब सही में मज़ा आ रहा है, क्योंकि मज़ा नहीं होता है तो फिर आपको वो बहुत ज़्यादा इनसिक्योरिटी, एक नेक्स्ट लेवल पे कुछ करने का एक इरिटेशन, कुछ और कर लें यार, कुछ और ट्राई कर लें, आज जल्दी घर चले जाते हैं, मतलब वीकेंड पे तो क्यों ही लैपटॉप खोलना है, ऑल ऑफ दैट काइंड ऑफ creeps in, that kicks in, right? Which is I think bad culture, which is why as to enforce that as a founder, right? That's what I ask to my team members कि यार as long as मजा आ रहा है तब तक सब सही है, ठीक है.
I think not realizing our potential is the biggest frustration that we internally have that we don't realize.
Right.
And all other forms of unhappiness stems from that. मुझे personally ये लगता है. And यहाँ पे I would want to add एक बहुत famous Chinese concept है WUWEI, WUWEI, and it's similar to Ikigai. But ये concept कहता है that are you in the state of flow? And उसका there's a very good book on this, and if you get a chance to read it, it says that our objective of life has to reach WUWEI, which is that state of flow where you stop realizing that you're putting in effort.
Right.
And it just happens naturally.
Right.
And I was listening to this interview of Virat Kohli, where there's a particular shot he played in IPL where a cover drive, a very normal cover drive went for 6. And he just did this, it went for 6. And later they asked him, how did you invent that shot? He said, boss, I was trying to play it on the ground. And it just went for, and cover drive, even if you hit it hard, won't go for 6, right? And there he said, I don't know how it happened. I have never practiced it. Bas ho gaya.
Right.
And there he said कि होगा, that's the state of flow, कि आपको भी पता लगना बंद हो जाता है कि इतना अच्छा रिजल्ट कैसे निकल रहा है. आपने इतना प्रैक्टिस कर लिया है एक पर्टिकुलर चीज का, that in the real battleground you produce better than you have ever practiced.
Right.
सो उस स्टेट में अगर लोगों को हम पहुंचा सके, फाउंडर तो उस स्टेट में फॉर्चुनेटली अनफॉर्चुनेटली होता है हाफ ऑफ द टाइम, अदरवाइज तो क्या ही कंपनी चलाएगा.
Right.
अगर वो एंजॉय नहीं कर रहा है तो हाफ ऑफ द टाइम नहीं होता. इसलिए बोल रहा हूँ क्योंकि कुछ काम फाउंडर के लाइफ में भी होता है जो उसमें मजा नहीं आ रहा है. लेट्स से देयर समथिंग ही स्टार्टेड इट फॉर बट सम अदर डिपार्टमेंट दैट ही डजंट लाइक, तो वो आ जाता है. बट या वेरी इंटरेस्टिंगली I picked that up from some of the things that were out there for you. Also, it showed you spoke about your passion for climbing and adventure. Last time we spoke that this is how you like to pass your time. How do you balance out personal adventures along with work? So
I don't think we've discussed personal adventure. वो तो time ही नहीं मिलता है generally. But so I think I'll just reframe your question.
Yeah.
So in that case, see, there is this concept of personal life. It very much is there, right? I mean, I recently got married. So
congratulations.
Thanks. So that ways, but I think it kind of fits in, as long as you identify what is our P0, as we say in startups, what is your priority 0, what has to be done right now. I think that is clear in a relatively life sense, which is running a startup, being responsible for that. I think as long as that is clear, then everything, somewhat kind of fits in. Be it your family, be it your friends, be it your outings, be it your, your travels. I think everything kind of falls in place. So luckily, that has happened for most of the time. So yeah.
So Varshul, we'll come to the last part of our discussion called the rapid fire round. In this round, there are just two things. One is it's rapid, and there's a lot of fire. So you kind of take it with a pinch of salt,
right,
and be very fast,
right,
in answering that. If you want, we can dim the lights here to give you the feel, or else we can start.
No, that's fine.
If you're ready.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Question number 1. What's your favorite AI breakthrough of this year?
AI breakthrough has to be speech-to-speech interaction.
Speech to speech. Oh, nice. Most underrated language in speech AI.
Wow, that has to be, I think, Bodo, which is one of the dialects of the Northeast.
Acha.
I'll have to fact check this. Yeah.
Yeah, but certain part of India would be very happy hearing this.
Right.
But dream dinner guest, if you want to invite someone for dinner.
I think that'll be Elon Musk. Easy. Yeah.
How did he get to know you feel about that AI is going to be the next big thing when he launched ChatGPT? Master stroke.
Right. That's a master stroke. Yeah.
Crazy. Memorable moment at Dubverse? Most memorable moment?
Every time we do a launch with our team gathered on our screen, when we click that button for the launch, that's my special moment.
I can understand. Preferred programming language for AI development?
Python.
Best science fiction movie?
Hitchhiker's Guide to Galaxy.
Wonderful. What's your favorite rooftop spot?
Yeah, we have one rooftop spot in our office where it's we can see most of the Gurgaon. It's the central location, so we go there a lot.
Wow. Why for Dubverse?
Dubverse. I'm going to get beaten on this. Yeah.
One thing you would like to change about AI?
That it's more useful in the sense that it's not so probabilistic that it is right now. मतलब ज़्यादा चलना चाहिए थोड़ा और.
Biggest learning from a mistake?
Hard to say. थोड़ा open-ended है. But then skip this.
Okay. And revenue or profit?
Revenue.
Fame or money?
Well, money, I'd say. Yeah.
Okay. Must watch for tech enthusiasts, as per you?
Oh, there's definitely watch 3 Blue 1 Brown.
Where is it?
It's a YouTube channel where they teach maths and some bit of AI. But the way that he teaches in terms of animations and etc.
3 Blue 1 Brown.
3 Blue 1 Brown.
How do you stay motivated?
Just a recollection of why I started.
Thank you, Varshul.
Thanks, Devajit, for having me here.
For coming to Badhta India Dekho. It was lovely interacting with you.
Right.
A lot of very, very unique concepts introduced. The audience should find a lot of value out of this podcast. I hope you enjoyed.
Yeah, it was a fun chat. It was always good to talk about AI. Thanks, Devajit. Thanks for having me, and good luck. I think it's a great piece of effort. There is so much education that has to be done in respect to AI at multiple levels, be it the students who want to use AI, or be it the developers who want to build on top of AI. And India, as they say, is like the IT support, right? for the entire world. So I think it'll be a lot of that. It'll be a lot of AI support or AI related support for the larger world, and that is what you and something like a crackhead could help unlock for a large economy like India. Good luck.
Thank you. So much information today on AI and the change and the shifts it's bringing about in the industry, on the cultural sensitivities, on how AI will replace human manpower or not, how it is working as an efficiency tool, how AI is going to become multilingual in the future, etc., etc., etc. I am myself going to go back and listen to the entire episode again just to learn once again on so much I have absorbed today. I'm also going back with so many implementations that can happen in business from AI. What are your thoughts? Would love to listen to your comments that you will put below, right below this YouTube video, and I would love to respond to them also. And until the next episode, see you again.